What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another Pitching Ninja's filthiest pitches of the day. Remember, before we get to those pitches, hit that subscribe button. Join Ninja Nation. And now, without further ado, here are my filthiest pitches of the day. I'm going to start with Graham Ashcraft, who had 7 Ks in 7 innings, giving up 1 run on only 3 hits. I thought Ashcraft looked really good, as he has been since June 30th. He's quietly putting things together and dominated with his cutters and sliders. He also showed that he had a little dog in him. After K'ing Jazz Chisholm, he muttered to himself, "Sit the f*** down, motherfucker." A little history of why he was pissed off. As you may or may not know, after Jazz hit a home run the other day, Jazz slapped Tyler Stephenson's butt after crossing home plate. And then this game, after being granted a timeout, he argued with the umpire whether he had actually called it or not, delaying the game. And Ashcraft had it. Ashcraft admitted after the game he was pissed off, and that Chisholm's lucky that's all he got. Ashcraft faced Johnny Cueto, who had 5 Ks in 5 innings, giving up 3 runs. He had this messing with timing changeup and painted with his fastball, as well as had this elevated heater. Yu Darvish had 4 Ks in 6 innings, giving up no earned runs, and had these splitters, 2-seamers, and sweepers. He battled Emerson Hancock, who made his major league debut and got his first K on this fastball to Tatis, picking up a sword and got another sword on this 2-seamer. Kevin Gausman had 6 Ks in 7 scoreless innings. His fastball topped out at 97 miles an hour, and he also had these wicked splitters. He lowered his ERA on the season to 3.04, and his 3rd in the AL in ERA, and his 1st in strikeouts, and is making a little bit of a race with Garrett Cole for the AL Cy Young. Gausman battled Logan Allen, who had 3 Ks in 5 innings, giving up only 1 run, and had this changeup. Mike Clevenger had 6 Ks in 6 innings, giving up only 1 run, and had these curveballs, sliders, and changeups. Jack Flaherty had 8 Ks in 5 innings, giving up 3 runs. And good news for the Orioles, Flaherty looked really good. His fastball was up to 97 miles an hour, and had these wicked sliders and knuckle curves. He faced Christian Javier, who had 3 Ks in 5 innings, giving up 2 runs, and had this fastball and slider. Bobby Miller had 4 Ks in 6 scoreless innings, and had these nasty sliders. A really good outing for Bobby Miller, and he battled Merrill Kelly, who had 2 Ks in 6 scoreless innings, and had this cutter. Jordan Montgomery had 5 Ks in 6 innings, giving up 2 runs, and had this changeup, this cutter, and curveball for a sword. He faced Austin Pruitt, who was the opener, and had 2 Ks in 2 innings, giving up no runs or hits. And he had this painted curveball as well as this slider. Bailey Ober had 9 Ks in 5 innings, but he gave up 11 hits and 4 runs. He got Ks on his fastballs and changeup. He faced Alex Faedo, who had 5 Ks in 5 2/3 innings, giving up 3 runs, and had this changeup. David Peterson had these wicked sliders and had 5 Ks in 3 2/3 innings, giving up 2 runs. He battled Kyle Hendricks, who had 6 Ks in 5 innings, giving up 2 runs, and had these nasty changeups. Adrian Hauser had 5 Ks in 5 innings, giving up 4 runs, and got Ks on his elevated fastballs. He faced Chris Flexen, who had 4 Ks in 5 innings, giving up 5 runs, and had this fastball and dirty slider for a sword. Nick Pivetta had 8 Ks in 5 innings, giving up 2 runs. He had these mean curveballs, including this one that I'm not sure how it was called a strike. Look how far off the plate that was, and it was never in the zone. He also picked up a K on his heater. He faced Jordan Lyles, who had 6 Ks in 8 innings, giving up 4 runs, and had these changeups. Max Fried had 4 Ks in 4 innings, giving up 4 runs. He had this paint-ish fastball, as well as got a KO on a fastball. Ninja referee Steve Willis, count him out. He faced Quinn Priester, who also had 4 Ks in 4 innings, giving up 4 runs, and had this sinker and slider. Shohei Ohtani had 5 Ks in 6 innings, giving up no earned runs, and lowered his ERA on the year to 3.17. He also picked up a win. And if you're keeping track at home, Shohei is now 6th in the AL in wins, 4th in the AL in ERA, and 3rd in strikeouts. Yep, he's in the top 6 in every pitching Triple Crown category. And he's also 1st in the AL in home runs, 3rd in RBIs, and 3rd in batting average. So he's in the top 3 in the AL for every batting Triple Crown category. He actually didn't have his best stuff, but still dominated with his fastballs, sweepers, and slider/cutter. And here's a great overlay of his fastball and sweeper. And you can see why you would swing at a sweeper way out of the zone. As they're headed to the plate, they both look the same. That fastball keeps running to the plate, but that sweeper takes off into the opposite batter's box. Ohtani faced Ryan Walker, who was the opener, and had 3 Ks on his fastballs and sliders. Mackenzie Gore had 5 Ks in 5 innings, giving up 6 runs and had this changeup. And he faced yesterday's filthiest starting pitcher of the day, Michael Lorenzen. As you probably know by now, Lorenzen threw a no-hitter with 5 Ks, giving up no runs. And he had to work for it. It was a 124-pitch no-hitter. He dominated the Nats with his combination of fastballs, sliders, and changeups, which was really his big pitch this game. And here's a couple of overlays that shows you why that changeup is so good. First, here's an overlay with his fastball, and you can see how he gets you on both the movement and the velo difference. But here's a really cool overlay, and this is a longer one, of his changeup and fastball mechanics. And look how identical they are. You can't tell the difference between his fastball and changeup, and that's what makes it so effective. He repeats his mechanics incredibly well. He also tunnels pitches really well, and here are a couple of charts from Baseball Savant that shows you just what you're dealing with when you're facing Michael Lorenzen, including both an overhead view and the catcher's view. Now, I'd mentioned Lorenzen threw 124 pitches this game, and Rob Thompson said after the 7th inning, when Lorenzen was at 100 pitches, he said, "I'll give you 20 pitches." And you got to give a lot of credit to Thompson for letting Lorenzen go after this no-hitter, where some managers might have said, "No, I'm not going to let you do it." Also an interesting fact, he didn't shake off Real Muto one time this game. So a big credit to his catcher for doing a great job calling the game. And Lorenzen also became the 5th pitcher to throw a no-hitter in his first home game with his franchise. After the game, Lorenzen said he had watched every one of Nolan Ryan's no-hitters, and that kind of helped him through it. I mean, I also watched every one of Nolan Ryan's no-hitters, but you don't see me throwing a no-hitter in the show. Lorenzen has been looking really good lately, and a big congrats to Michael Lorenzen for his no-hitter. Now on to my filthiest relievers. Daniel Bard had these sliders and fastballs. Tyler Kinley had these fastballs and sliders. Joe Kelly had this 100-mile-an-hour diesel and this slider. Matt Brash had this 6 slider and got a sword. Matt Cook had this 92-mile-an-hour flaming cutter. David Robertson had this knuckle curve. Tanner Scott K'd the side with his fastballs and picked up a White Castle special. Josh Winkowski had these nasty cutters. Hobie Milner had these filthy curveballs. Hector Neris had this dirty splitter. Devin Williams had this fastball that was off the plate. But the bloodthirsty Ripper called it a strikeout just so he could murder a hitter. Oh, the horror. Jojo Romero had this Expelliarmus changeup. Gregory Santos had these filthy sliders. Freddie Tarnock had this 97-mile-an-hour heater and these changeups and picked up 4 Ks over 4 innings. And my filthiest reliever of the day was Sean Manaea, who had 6 Ks in 4 innings and got Ks on his fastballs, sliders, and sweepers. But I really gave him the filthiest reliever of the day because of what he did to Shohei here. Sean Manaea threw this chin music to Shohei, and look at Shohei's reaction. Hilarious. Shohei kind of looks like a human grimace emoji. I paired Shohei's reaction with Reagan McNeil from The Exorcist, and look at their possessed mechanics. Almost identical. Now if Shohei could only projectile vomit. And now, my Pitching Ninja moment of zen. Fenway Park has been around for a long time, but no one can ever remember this happening. This ball gets lodged in the scoreboard lights on the Green Monster. You never know what you're going to see when you watch a baseball game. Amazing. What is up, everybody? My picks of the day today are 3-leg parlay. I'm going to start off with the same game parlay of Reese Olson for 6 Ks or more and Kenta Maeda for 7 Ks or more. And then I'm going to top it off with Aaron Nola for 6 Ks or more. What would your picks of the day be?